All right, so we are live. Welcome to the very first episode of the Bonnets with Blazers podcast. I am your host, LaQuanda Roberts Buckley. Just so you know, I want to be chatting about ways that I experience my Black womanhood, political incorrectness, current and trending topics that pop up within the Black woman experience, the us versus them within Black womanhood, relationship stuff, and whatever else pops up. So thank you so much for joining me on this very first episode. So I know you're like, LaQuanda, oh my gosh, you're doing another podcast. Yes. And I was like, I had to start finding a space for myself where I could just be like whatsoever. And because I don't feel like getting dressed up all the time. I don't feel like trying to make myself pretty to be in front of camera. I don't feel like taking like massive amount of hair that I put in, down and stuff. And so, after seeing like this past week of stuff on social media, I was just like, I just need a space where I can talk about certain things. And the first thing on the list, on my list, y'all, because y'all hearing this podcast or you seeing it on YouTube, is the stuff that they had going on about Essence Fest, right? Now, the part of Essence Fest that I am talking about is how black women were mad that there was twerking at Essence Fest. Now, I know I don't attend a lot of hip hop concerts, right? I just don't. And the thing about it, right, is Essence puts out their calendar for their event, and their rollout who their guests are going to be, the performers, well in advance, right? And I don't know when they announced that Meg the Stallion was going to be there. I will have to tell you that off bat. I don't know when they actually announced that. But this is the deal. Has anyone heard Meg the Stallion's name and seen any of her music videos? Seen clips from any of Meg the Stallion's concerts, right? So my biggest, the biggest thing, and I'm looking down because I'm trying to find that post because I want to read some of the comments that were under that post. The biggest thing that was wild to me is that you showed up to a Megan the Stallion concert. Performance. Let's just say performance because there were other performers there. And was shocked that there was twerking. And I think sometimes people use particular events or particular things to mask how they truly feel about people, right? And I think this was just an opportunity for a certain group to say, "Oh, we don't like them, or they don't belong here." Like there was this exclusivity, if I'm saying the word right, for Essence Fest. Like, yeah, we'll listen to FNF, all last summer with Glorilla, and shaking and stuff. But no, when it comes to Essence, this is a cultural space for a certain type of black woman. But if you're not like us, then when you're around us, you need to act like us. And that just rubbed me so wrong. It just, because I'm like, black women really doing that? Now I gotta, I always like to put myself out there, right? Because I fully understand um, having that train of thought, right? Because I did an interview like, golly, like maybe 10 years ago, where me and the interviewer, we were talking about, oh yeah, we wouldn't want to see certain things, and we wouldn't want our children to be a part of a twerk team and stuff. We were saying those things because I was like, yeah, I actually at one point in my life believed that. And then something really changed. And you want to know what changed? Is that I really sat down and realized it doesn't really matter what you do, because a person who's going to do wrong towards you is going to do wrong towards you, and a person who wants to think negative about you is going to think negative about you. And I'm always like, when I hear those conversations and I see these types of conversations, right, where people are saying that, oh, this type of Black experience isn't appropriate for this Black space, and I'm like, who are we trying to appease? Like, who exactly are you trying to appease when you say that? When you said, well, this isn't the culture, I hate seeing this, and this is representation of our culture. And I'm like, it's not representation of the culture, but it was a whole bunch of people that went up in there knowing that Meg Thee Stallion was going to be the performer. I just want to know, what was the expectations? What did you think Meg Thee Stallion was going to do? That's all one of the things I want to know, like, what did we really think that Meg Thee Stallion was going to do? She was going to perform like she always performed. That's the thing. She was going to perform. Meg was going to perform like she always performed. And so why would we think that or why would we want to even experience someone who's going to change themselves to appease a group of people who are coming to see them freely? And maybe it wasn't Meg Thee Stallion. Maybe people were mad that it was other Black women there. And see, this is the thing, right? This is the thing. If a Black woman is on the street or something, or not on the street, but out and about at night, and she's twerking, right? People like, oh, if something happens to her, she should be, such and such, right? And so here these Black women are on the stage with Meg Thee Stallion, and they are twerking themselves off. You hear me? These ladies are going off. They're in a safe environment. Nobody is grabbing them against their will. They're having fun and enjoying life. And out of all the people who's going to say, you shouldn't do that, it's Black women. And Black women will say, oh, that I hate that this is the representation. It's hypersexuality. I hate this ghetto stuff. It's a time and place for everything. See, a lot of us, myself included, there weren't cameras around when we were doing the stuff that we were doing. There wasn't, social media to float stuff around to capture, the way we were doing things when we were growing up. But boy, we gonna it was this creator that I visit that I watch sometimes on TikTok, and he say, we make mistakes in silence, or do things in silence, and then shame people in public, point the finger at people in public. Because now, after you've gotten all your Freakniks out of the way and Black College Weekend out of the way, and there's no evidence of that happening, then now we want to shame the Black girls who are growing up. And I will say, yeah, you might not like it, but this whole conversation that it shouldn't be there reminds me of the conversation that other groups have about Black women's presence. Your hair shouldn't be there. Your body shouldn't be there. Your skin tone shouldn't be there. And it's just weird and eerie to hear Black women tell other Black women that the way that you have fun and experience life isn't a part or can't be a part of Black culture. Because it's not classy. By their definition of classy, of course. Even though you have entire races of people who look at you and say your entire experience as a human being isn't classy or professional. Especially your hair. But yet we'll turn around and do the exact same thing to Black women, to other Black women, because we don't like it. Because this generation of Black women are different, where male counterparts were in control of the distribution of the sexuality of Black women. And this younger generation has more power and control over their images, how they want to present themselves, and being themselves. It's being themselves to a point to where they don't have to be afraid of losing support. See, back in the day, folks were isolated. You couldn't have a group of people who would come out of the bushes from nowhere to support you and say, you know what, I got your back. I express myself in the same way. See, back then when people called you out for something, you were by yourself. Maybe you could read something in a newspaper or stuff like that, or watch the news, MTV and stuff like that. But people these days don't have to do that. Right now, you can criticize someone and that person will find somebody in Florida or find somebody in New York, and they all the way in California, and the person across the country will support them and make sure that they're okay. And so it's this weird policing, and it's almost like, sure, that doesn't have to be you. It doesn't have to be you. It's perfectly okay if that's not who you are. But the damnation of these other people because they like to twerk. And I'm telling you, I had that mindset. I had that mindset for a long time. Years ago, I had that mindset. But then you have to understand, people sometimes when they have this mindset, there's a group of Black people. And I'm talking about Black women because I'm a Black woman. And you can say whatever you want. Oh, you're just shaming Black women. I'm a Black woman. I'm going to criticize us. Yes. Criticize me. Shoot, I'm going to keep on going. So, but what I'm saying here is, there's a certain group of people who believe that the reason why they are treated the way that they are is because of XYZ. And this is what I mean by that. A woman may say, the reason why he's asking me for sex is because there's so many women out there who will give it to him freely without a relationship. Why is that? I'm going to get into that topic on another thing. Or the reason why they're racist towards us because they saw us on stage. They see us on stage doing stuff like that with Megan Thee Stallion, and we don't present ourselves accordingly. Like, if someone's going to be racist towards you, they're going to be racist towards you while you're in a blazer. And y'all, I'm going to get a better blazer. While you're in a blazer. While you're in your corporate wear. While you're smiling, while you're being non-twerking. You know how many corporate baddies on TikTok, because of the racism that they experience, and sharing their heartaches right now because of the racism that they are experiencing, and they may not have videos everywhere twerking. So this idea and notion that if I change myself, or if this group of people stop acting this way, then everything is going to be good. And maybe not everything, but it'll give them one less thing to point towards us. No, it won't. Because they'll find something else. And so even when it goes to down to hair, there are black women that will see a black woman's hair full and kinky and it's glorious. And like, when are you going to straighten your hair? When are you going to do something with that? So it's this line, this sickening line to me. And I was so disgusted. Like, I was so disgusted by the comments that I read, where it's this exclusionary mindset within the black womanhood, that we'll accept you to a point, but when you come around us, we need you to act like us. Or your experience as a black woman isn't an experience as a black woman, or it's not the experience of a black woman that we want the world to see. We want to decide what black womanhood looks like, because there's a time and place for everything. I cannot stand it. I cannot stand it. I cannot stand it. And I think that was like really the basis, like what really had me just like, you know what, I'm finna start this podcast called Bonnets With Blazers. Let me tell y'all, I want y'all, especially about the twerking aspect, hear what I'm saying. If you would have placed those young ladies in a different type of garment and changed the music, and they would have been doing similar moves, a lot of people would have called it cultural. Because some of the movements that other cultures have traditionally, if you change the movement, it'll seem like they dance into a hip hop song. Change the music, I mean. And so it's hard. It is hard when there is this separation, and this is everywhere. This isn't exclusive to black women, but I'm talking about black women because I'm a black woman. So that's what I'm going to talk about here. And so it's like, oh, you should know better. Your butt shouldn't be. Well, maybe they like seeing their butt, and maybe they like people to see their butts. You don't want people to see your rear? Cover it up. If you only want to show your rear when you go to the beach in a swimsuit and wear a cover up, okay, that's great. But if old girl want to wear a rock a thong and then twerk to some Cardi B or Meg, that really ain't taking nothing away from you. They're living their experience, and you have every right to live yours. But when you start saying, that's why they think of us the way that they do. No, that's not why they think about us the way that they do. They were taught that since they were children. Their parents taught them that. Their grandparents taught them that. Society structured them to teach them that. That ain't got nothing to do with that girl twerking. Like, I want more for us. So do we. We want inclusion. But the same people that are holler inclusivity with other groups will shun half of their community if they could. But I shall digress there. But thank you all for listening to the very first episode of Bonnets with Blazers podcast. I am your host, LaQuanda Roberts Buckley. Y'all have a good one now.